So, welcome everyone, and today we are on week 19, prayers and meditations by the Mother. So, we'll start. We have two prayers for today. Maybe we are able to take both of them, maybe only one. We'll see. So, let us just go through the first prayer, March 9, 1914. So, Jishnuji, would you like to start if you have the capacity?
मोनिका जी, you can hear me?
Yes, now I can. Yeah.
आपका कोई बैकग्राउंड नॉइज आ रहा है?
नहीं, अभी तो नहीं आ रहा.
अच्छा, let me do one thing. Let me leave and join back.
Okay, perfect. No issue. Yeah.
Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can. Yeah. Please go
Okay. So
ahead.
let's go ahead. March 9, 1914. Those who live for thee and in thee may change their physical surroundings, their habits, climate, milieu, but everywhere they find the same atmosphere. They carry that atmosphere in themselves, in their thought, constantly fixed on thee. Everywhere they feel at home, for everywhere they are in thy house. No longer do they marvel at the novelty, unexpectedness, picturesqueness of things and countries. For them, it is thy presence that is manifest in all, and thy unchangeable splendor, which never leaves them, is apparent in the least grain of sand. The whole earth chants thy praise, in spite of the obscurity, misery, ignorance. Through it all, it is still the glory of thy love which we perceive and with which we can commune ceaselessly everywhere. O Lord, my sweet Master, all this is, all this I constantly experience. On this boat, which seems to me a marvelous abode of peace, a temple sailing in thy honor over the waves of the subconscient passivity, which we have to conquer and awaken to the consciousness of thy divine presence. Blessed was the day when I came to know thee, O ineffable eternity. Blessed among all days be that day when the earth at last awakened shall know thee and shall live only for thee.
Thank you, Jishnuji. Would you like to also share reflections on the prayer?
So reflection, Monica ji, when I read, I think Mother had written this during the time she was traveling.
Yeah.
She was traveling between Japan and Europe,
Yeah.
and she must have written it during that time,
Yes.
during the war years. So when I read this, I remembered of that word of Lord Buddha, where he said that you be light unto yourself or be an island unto yourself. That I remembered those words when I read this, where Mother is saying that those who live for thee and in thee may change. That is, outside everything may change, even their habit, climates, culture, but everywhere they find the same atmosphere, because that atmosphere they are carrying within themselves. And Mother has later also spoken about this separately, where she said that you carry the spiritual atmosphere within you. You create your own atmosphere. In their thought, carry their atmosphere in themselves, in their thought, constantly fixed on thee. Everywhere they feel at home, for everywhere they are in thy house. So for them, they do not need any separate place, or I would say separate set of comfortable or uncomfortable circumstances, because they are so one with the universe, they are at comfort with everywhere. No longer do they marvel at the novelty, unexpectedness, picturesqueness of things and countries. So for them, all the countries and things, basically all these outside experiences with which we marvel, they do not feel any vibrational difference because they see the same divine everywhere. For them, it is thy presence that is manifest in all, and thy unchangeable splendor, which never leaves them, is apparent in the least grain of sand. And I think a mother has spoken, or someone has spoken, that if you look carefully, you can see the entire universe in a grain of sand. That if you look, if you know how to look, you can observe the entire universe in a grain of sand. Because indeed, the entire universe is in an atom, which we now know scientifically as well. And that is exactly Mother is speaking in terms of vibration. The whole earth chants thy praise, in spite of the obscurity, misery, ignorance. Through it all, it is still glory of thy love which we perceive, and with which we can commune ceaselessly everywhere. So the whole earth chants, because uh, in that piece where Mother said the supreme discovery, where she said when the psychic awakens, it suddenly starts to understand like the language of animals, the plant starts speaking, and what is actually happening. Basically, even now we all know, right? I mean, that the universe is talking to us, but we are not able to listen to that. And that exactly happens when we are connected. When we are internally connected to the divine, we exactly know what is the meaning of its symbol, what is the meaning of everything that is happening around us. And it speaks of the divine place, because ultimately, if we take that whatever is happening by from the divine, then life becomes easy. In spite of the obscurity, misery, ignorance, through it all, it is still the glory of thy love which we perceive, and with which we can commune ceaselessly everywhere. It is also for, I mean, if we think for people, because I don't know what conditions Mother was traveling in that boat, I mean, what kind of people she was traveling with. She has not spoken in details much, but most probably, if we think that we want to live under certain circumstances, we want to travel under certain circumstances, we want certain comfort, certain standards when we are traveling. And the other way, if things are not like that, we feel uncomfortable, right? We feel disturbed, distraught. But people who are connected, they would be very, very comfortable with any situation, anything that is happening to them. O Lord, my sweet master, all this I constantly experience on this boat, and she is experiencing this in this boat, which seems to me a marvelous abode of peace, a temple sailing in thy honor over the waves of the subconscient passivity, which we have to conquer and awaken to the consciousness of thy divine presence. And there lies a poetic quality, poetic beauty, because we have never thought a train or a ship or a plane to be um, an abode of peace or a temple. And Mother is saying that I feel that this is like a temple which is sailing over the vast ocean of subconscience, which we have to awaken. That is, she even at 1914 she was aware, self-aware or aware of the goal that the light has to reach there. Blessed was the day when I came to know the own ineffable eternity. Blessed among all days be that day when the earth at last awakened, shall know thee and shall live only for thee. That was a great day when Mother naturally became conscious of that eternal. Similarly, the blessed among all days will be when the earth will awaken or the world will awaken and shall know thee and live only for thee. That is all from my side.
Yeah, thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you. It's also indication of our higher possibility, our highest possibility, that we can feel at home everywhere. That's also a possibility. So, Shardaji, would you like to share any lines that resonated much, or any reflections?
Yeah, Monica,
Yeah.
the the second sentence, everywhere they feel at home, for everywhere they are in thy house. This resonated very much to me. But I don't know how to explain it, but this feels very, very, very nice. Yeah. Because, many a places wherever we go, we will not be comfortable. We'll miss something.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very, very true. I think even if we go to a relative's place, many a times it happens that we are not able to fall asleep there. We
Yeah.
only need our home. Yeah, yeah. So very
Yeah,
true.
this happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes,
even
yes.
for some time, if we go also, we'll not be very comfortable. We want to feel like, coming back home.
Yeah, yeah,
The mother says everywhere they feel at home, for everywhere they are in thy house.
yeah,
Beautiful, beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, beautiful line. And I think along with that also, on a funny note, many a times when we travel, people also are not able to uh, eliminate the contents of their bowel when they are outside. It happens with us, that
Yeah,
we
very.
just, and it takes a couple of days while the tummy gets settled to the new
Yeah.
place. Yes. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yes. Anything else, Shardaji, from these?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, I think it's really, whenever we read words of Mother or Sri Aurobindo, I think it's like a delight because it talks always about our higher possibility that, okay, we may be where we are, but look what is possible for you. And that really brings a lot of joy and delight that, wow, we have roads and roads to travel. So as mother says, progress always brings joy. So if a part of me is willing to walk the path of progress, knowing that wherever I am is not my higher possibility, but I can always move ahead, I think that really, really brings joy and gives us a purpose to be. So this is really beautiful because many a times we are always craving for a vacation. That's our usual state, that our job or workplace or family may just become too mundane and we are just craving for a vacation, craving for a way out, or wanting to go to a restaurant, or maybe wanting to obsessively watch a movie, that just because we are so tired by our daily schedules. But this is a very different dimensional change that mother is talking about, that this dependency on external situations to provide us with that fulfillment, contentment, or expansion in our being, which we get usually through travel, that is now taken care of. So this is really beautiful, also very economical, because then we don't have to obsessively travel here and there just because we are just too tired of our daily routines and we want to change because something is not complete within. So if we find that completion within, if we have this very intimate relationship with ourselves, uh, and the presence within, I think then it's really, really very beautiful. Something can really kind of unfold here. Usually we are always trying to run away from ourselves. So here we are just home with ourselves, wherever we are. It may be a prison, it may be an hospital which we have come to for a surgery or anything. It may be a relative's place. It doesn't matter what it is. In the worst of the situations, we have this possibility that we can feel at home. I think it's a very, very beautiful higher possibility Mother indicates. And then also the enchantment that we have from the outer material world, when mother says, no longer do they marvel at the novelty, unexpectedness, and picturesqueness of things and countries. Because many a times, we feel very attracted that, no, 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 I want to travel this place, that place, travel brings me joy, and all that, which is again very good. It may be my call, but it's not that I am craving for it and I am unsatisfied without it. If the travel happens, good, but if the travel is not happening, that's also deeply contenting for me, for myself. So for them it is thy presence that is manifest in all. So whether I am in my home, relative place, in a prison, in a hospital, standing in a queue, I'm always feeling home. How beautiful this is, that for the divine presence is always with me. I have a continuous, or even if a patchy, there is a communication with that inner presence, there is an intimacy with that inner presence, and that's the presence I see in all beings or places that I visit or that I am. Unchangeable splendor, which never leaves them, is apparent in the least grain of sand. So something as ordinary, grain of sand is very ordinary. It's there everywhere almost, especially in India. Uh, and it's the ordinariness of life, because we are always looking for something extraordinary, and in which we keep missing the present moment, which is the ordinary. So when I am mindfully rooted in my own being, deeply rooted in my own being, then each moment is very fulfilling and rich. And for me, the grain of sand also describes the ordinariness of day to day moments. That I'm not seeking for something extraordinary to happen that I may feel content and joyful. The whole earth chants thy praises in spite of the obscurity, misery, ignorance through it all. It is still the glory of thy love which we perceive and with which we can commune ceaselessly everywhere. So that's our possibility. It's a ceaseless communication that is possible. So, in all the material uh, things of the creation, or in the sentient beings, in people that we visit or interact with or live with, if we are not living in the forest of our thought, there is a possibility that I'm always able to discover something new in the very same people, so called seemingly same people that I am living with. Just if I am open, only if I am open. O Lord, my sweet master, all this I constantly experience on this boat. So, mother is traveling for the first time to Pondicherry, if I'm not wrong, and she is earlier there was a post from Geneva where she was writing on. In Geneva, she had a halt, and then now she goes on and she's on this boat which takes her forward to Pondicherry. So uh, in the boat, in the boat, it's like in the middle of nowhere. Neither you are on the land, neither you are in your own country. So in the middle, you are hanging. And even in that hanging, she's settled. That's the beauty. So there was a time, even now I remember when we read this, that I used to love airports, whenever somebody would be going, when I was studying in Zurich. So I would always go and see them off at the airports. And somehow I like the ambience of the airports very much, because there you are neither here nor there, you are in between. And somehow I felt that that was a very expansive thing in itself, that you can't hold on to anything, you are almost kind of groundless, don't have a home at the moment, and uh, in the middle of everything. So if in the middle of everything I can feel at home, I think that's something which is really very beautiful, one can experience in life. And as Jishnuji was sharing, a beautiful imagery that mother is creating here, that this boat seems to me a marvelous abode of peace, because she herself is feeling that peace within her being and all around her also. To a marvelous abode of peace, a temple sailing in thy honor on the way over the waves of the subconscient passivity. So this also I found very interesting, that it's like a dullness, like a dullness that from time to time overwhelms our lives. We get too settled in our comfort zones, too kind of, as Sri Aurobindo in Savitri also talks about, the grooves in which we settle down from time to time because of this tamas and inertia. So this passivity of patterns in which we get settled. And then she says that it's like when we are settled in our own being, when we find the divine presence within, then it has the capacity to take us through this full of inertia, the subconscious passivity of patterns. This is what we have to conquer and awaken to the consciousness of thy divine presence. So, to remove gradually, to transform that dullness from life, that inertia from life, which is very overwhelming at times. You just keep on slipping back into it. And the only way to keep it at bay is to keep aspiring, as mother says, that keep the fire of aspiration alive, that don't get ever self-satisfied with yourself, that mera ho gaya, I am done, I am fixed now. Yes, Shardaji.
Monica, just now you were mentioning that, we are not able to practice that, that you mentioned something after, talking about the airport. We are neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So how, can you please explain it a bit more?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to point out is that it's like as if we are confronting groundlessness. So whenever we have homes, it gives us a feeling of a settlement, that I am settled here, I have a ground here. Or if we have relationships which are going on for years, like our spouses or children or siblings, then again it gives us a ground, that I can bank upon this ground. But when I looked at the airport situation, then it gave me a feeling that there is no ground actually here. I'm neither here nor there. There are people who I don't know, right? Strangers mostly. So I think that's a very beautiful place to practice groundlessness.
Beautiful example. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, that's what.
Yeah. Thank you. I understood.
Yeah, thank you. So this subconscious passivity of patterns in which from time to time we slip back, this is what she is indicating, that we have to conquer and awaken to the consciousness of thy divine presence. And when we talk about divine presence, mother also talks about divine, another name she gives is perfection. So never getting settled with our patterns and comfort zones, or whatever abilities we may have, always towards more and more and more and more. And that is joy, that brings us joy. Blessed was the day when I came to know thee, O ineffable eternity. So something which cannot be truly known. When we talk about ineffability, it's always like, as mother in other prayers shares, that you keep on escaping me. The closer I get to you, you retreat further. So, and that's the beauty, it's like Krishna Leela also, that is kind of playing hide and seek. But even that Leela is joyful once we know what's happening. So that's what mother is sharing, that blessed was the day when I came to know thy presence, and O ineffable eternity, blessed among all days will be that day. Now she again, in every prayer, she gives us this bodhisattva perspective, that not only for herself, she just prays, includes whole of existence in her prayers. So blessed among all days be that day when the earth at last awakened shall know thee and shall live only for thee. So we won't live for our egos and limited selves and limited families. We will all live for each other, holding hands, and the earth will live for the divine, towards perfection, towards more and more light and glory. So very uplifting words again. And again gave us, from time to time, mother's words give us guidance whenever we get too stagnated in our little comfort zones. So anything anyone wants to share? Any last reflections on this one? This prayer? Okay, so let's move on. It's a connected prayer, March 10. Again, mother is still traveling. And let's read this. So, Sardaji, would you like to read this prayer, March 10?
Yeah, I'll read.
Thank you.
March 10th, 1914. In the silence of the night, thy peace reigned all over all things. In the silence of my heart, thy peace reigns always. And when these two silences were united, thy peace was so powerful that no disturbance of any kind could resist it. Then I thought of all those who were watching over the boat to safeguard and protect our course, and in gratefulness I wanted to make thy peace spring up and live in their hearts. Then I thought of all those who, confident and free from care, slept the sleep of inconscience, and with solitude for their miseries, pity for their latent suffering, which would arise in them when they awoke. I wanted that a little of thy peace might live in their hearts and awaken in them the life of the Spirit, the light that dispels ignorance. Then I thought of all the inhabitants of this vast sea, both visible and invisible, and I willed that thy peace might spread over them. Then I thought of those we had left far behind and whose affection goes with us. And with a great tenderness, I wanted thy consciousness and lasting peace for them, the plenitude of thy peace as far as they could receive it. Then I thought of all those towards whom we are going, who are troubled by childish preoccupations and fight in ignorance and egoism for petty rivalries of interest. And ardently, in a great aspiration, I asked for them the full light of thy peace. Then I thought of all those we know, all those we do not know, all the life in the making, all that has changed its form, all that is not yet in form, and for all these, even as for all that I cannot think about, for all that is present in my memory, and for all that I forget, in a deep contemplation and mute adoration, I implore thy peace. Beautiful prayer. No? It includes everyone in the universe.
Yeah.
So beautiful, so touching, beautiful.
It's also, whenever we make this our practice, that whenever we sit to pray, yeah, one by one, we start with maybe the family, the relatives, and then we include everything, each being, each part of existence. I feel that it's very purifying in nature, because then you have no enemies, no people who you dislike, that even if you may not like them, but you are still wishing well for them.
Beautiful.
And
No?
yeah,
This needs, maybe this will expand us.
yes, yes, yes,
Yes. To
absolutely,
be able to love your enemy also. And
absolutely, yeah.
And I
And
don't know,
also,
I just want to share a small
yeah,
thing.
please,
Whether
please
it
go
is,
ahead.
whether it is connected to this or not, but I felt that, when we do this tarpan on that new moon day, there is a mantra which comes, see, I'm doing this for my parents and if people who are born in my gotram or anya gotram or people who already already has gone, who are not there, let this water satisfy everybody. Like that, there is a mantra. So when my husband does this, I used to feel very happy because that mantra is so powerful. Because everybody cannot do, everybody may not do this, may do it, but we don't know. But people who wanted somebody to do for them will not have children or any problem due to something they will not do. All these, if everybody does this, everybody will be satisfied, no? All the people who live in the Pitruloka, everybody will be satisfied. The whole world will be at peace. That is, I used to feel that. So
Beautiful. Yes, yes.
I'm able to connect with this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Saji, that is very beautiful. Actually, what they say is, for whom nobody is doing tarpan, I am doing for you.
Hmm.
People like who have passed away in accident or other things, for them also it is done. Yeah, what you said
Beautiful.
is very
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, whether people believe it or not, it's a different question. But you know, something is just a beautiful thought is going on.
Exactly. Actually, that is the point. Yeah, whether it is reaching others or not, it is definitely purifying myself. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, so
Absolutely.
beautiful. That mantra used to, always repeat in my ears. So now I'm able to connect with what the mother says.
Yeah.
People who know or you do not know, people who are your friends, who are your enemies, or whoever are there and is around. She wishes good for everyone. So beautiful.
Yeah. And I think this is also the way to, for those of us who keep on wondering about how to know that I'm working from the psychic, or how to know whether the psychic being is in front. I think this is the way to awaken the psychic when we are having this good heart, heart of goodwill. It's also awakening the psychic heart in us. Beautiful. So it just came to me in the previous prayer when mother was talking that the other countries or the other enchantments are not then when very enchanting for those people who are able to feel home anywhere. The word that came to me, which I've shared earlier also, is disenchantment. When I know that this material world of manifestation cannot give me lasting contentment, joy, peace, and happiness, then one gets disenchanted from the material realization, material world. And that is the time when we can actually begin to completely surrender and offer ourselves to the divine works. Knowing that we will not get any lasting happiness or joy from the material, even then, knowing this, now I am ready to offer myself whatever, with whatever abilities or presence. So
Yeah.
disenchantment is also a word which comes to me again and again. Yes, Jishnuji, please.
Monikaji, one thing I always used to wonder that just imagine 1914, mother came from Paris. Of course, I know that here she came from Tokyo, but I'm saying that she came from Paris to Pondicherry, and that Pondicherry was very, very different. I mean, different means very, very behind. I mean, there was not even enough electric lights, and Paris was at that point of time one of the most advanced cities,
Yeah.
and advanced. I always used to wonder, just look at, I mean, her way of thinking or what she internally believed. Actually, these external things did not matter to her.
Beautiful, yes.
Plus, I mean, climate. First of all, one is climate. It's such an alien climate for her. But then the external things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very practical living example and inspiration. Yeah, so anything on this prayer, March 10, 1914? Any reflections? I think although mother doesn't say it directly, since we know that she had a background in Buddhism also, this again and again, in many, many prayers, it resonates very deeply. Many people I talk with, some of us feel that Buddhism is something different and, maybe integral yoga is something different. They are not they can't go together. But I think that is only a very further appearance which we have from far off. But if we go deeper, somehow I have a feeling that this is very, very deeply resonating, and both of them are collaborating with each other. The teachings of Buddhist philosophy and the teachings from integral yoga, they are very, very collaborative in nature. So, for example, this prayer, for me, it's personally full of this bodhisattva aspiration, where a bodhisattva is a being who wants to awaken himself up, not for his own sake, but for the sake of all beings. So here, in again and again in Mother's prayers, we see this how she always brings the whole of earth and existence, no matter whether ignorant people, non-ignorant people, doesn't matter. But she brings all of us in, like together on the same boat towards the light of Supreme. So this really, really touches again and again that we as mortal beings who are not so mortal as we think, we can also have this aspiration and make life meaningful and purposeful. So I'll just go over the lines again and see if something is coming up. In the silence of the night, thy peace reigned over all things. So as it happens, the night time is full of a time for quietness, and many people like to spend a lot of hours with themselves in the night time just because it's too quiet and they enjoy the quietness. So that quiet, that peace, in the silence of my heart, thy peace reigns always. So Mother says that these two peace, they got united. The peace outside, which I could observe in the silence of the night, and the peace in my heart. And when these two silences were united, thy peace was so powerful that no disturbance of any kind could resist it. Now, this also refers to when Mother says that stay within, live within, gather your consciousness, threads of consciousness that are scattered all around, and gather them in an intensity and keep them within, collected, collected consciousness. So it also relates with that when we begin to enjoy that ingathered state, when we begin to really become intimate with that inner presence, then I thought, so now in a collected, ingathered state, then I thought of all those who were watching over the boat to safeguard and protect our course. So when we ingather our consciousness and there are no expectations, demands from the material existence, as in the previous pair, hinting towards disenchantment also, that there is nothing that you want or desire from people or situations outside, then automatically it happens many a times, we may have experienced that a kind of a sense of gratitude wells up in the being, that isn't it amazing that we are so fortunate and being taken care of from so many areas. So she's having that welling gratitude, that thanks to the people who are on this boat safeguarding all the people who are traveling, and in gratefulness, I wanted to make thy peace spring up and live in their hearts. So, the best present we can offer anyone. The other person may not know that you're offering this present, but this is the best present that we can offer, because knowingly or unknowingly, we are all looking for these deep peace in our hearts. We don't want restlessness in our being. We are all looking in ignorant ways towards peace and contentment. So this is her beautiful wish, which can be the best wish for anyone that one can wish, that may this peace that I feel today, may it spring up and live in their hearts also. And then I thought of all those who, confident and free from care, slept the sleep of unconscious. For those of us who don't know the purpose of human lives, we don't know why we are born. We are just kind of as if a leaf is uh, swayed here and there on the waters of life. They are just, we have been, we have touched that space in our own lives also, that we don't know why we are here, just roaming here and there and not knowing the true purpose of being human. So even those, Mother says, then I thought of all those who confident and free, confident also that I know that I know what I am doing. So in our arrogance, that is what we do, that I know what I am doing in my life, and free from care, slept the sleep of inconscience, not knowing who we truly are, not knowing what is our purpose, and not even progressing towards the purpose consciously. So, with all those people, she also prayed for them and with solicitude for their miseries, because as long as I'm in the sleep of inconscience, it is very, very sure that I will be in misery. Even if I may be content for a couple of moments or times, but if I am away from my true nature, if I don't know the purpose of being human, I will be miserable no matter how much I hide it away from the life and people. So she wishes, and with solicitude for their miseries, pity for their latent suffering. And the suffering is latent. This is also very beautiful, because if my suffering is very intense and in front, then I want to change. But if my suffering is very hidden, then I don't even know that I have to change. That's the pity, that's the miserable condition which would arise in them when they awoke. So the suffering will arise when I wake up a bit, that, oh my God, something is not right, something is missing in my life. What is that something which is missing in my life? I wanted that a little of thy peace might live in their hearts and awaken in them the life of the Spirit, the light that dispels ignorance. So, this is what we can wish for all those people who, from time to time, we are concerned about in our family, relatives, people we meet as strangers, and we think that they are what kind of life they may be living. Time to time, judgments and opinions do come in our mind. So, if these judgments and opinions do come, how to use them efficiently is to pray that may they awake to their inner presence, may they know the true purpose of their lives, and may they awaken to the life of the Spirit which dispels all the ignorance. Then I thought of all the inhabitants of this vast sea, both visible and invisible. So there are creatures of the sea which are visible, like big whale and fishes which are very visible. And then there are also beings which may be on the sea but they are not visible with the mortal eyes, mortal vision. So for those beings also, both visible and invisible, I willed that thy peace might spread over them. So whether my mortal senses are making me aware of them or my mortal senses can't get in touch with them, it doesn't matter. Whoever is there, may they all have this supreme peace. Then I thought of those we had left far behind. So since mother has traveled far from her native Paris, she's in the beginning she was also writing a prayer of about these attachments that we form in relationships where we are not able to let go of people with whom we have lived for a long time. So may their heart get soothed and they have peace in their hearts. And now in this prayer, she thinks about people who we have left far behind and whose affection goes with us. Because no matter if there was attachment, there was love and fondness and affection and giving. And with great tenderness, I wanted thy conscious and lasting peace for them, the plenitude of thy peace as far as they could receive it. So this is also very amazing because as the more I'm open, the more I'm able to receive. If I'm not very open, I won't be able to receive that much. So in the capacity, there is also a Kabir song that it depends on the size of the vessel in which we receive. Otherwise, the divine is all giving. He's just giving and giving. It's like a song from Kabir. Data nadiyan ek sam, sab kahu ko de, jiske jaisa kumbh ho, वैसा ही भर ले. So whoever, what kind of vessel I would have, only that kind of grace I would get. So if my vessel is more open, more vast, I will receive more grace. If my vessel is closed, very limited, that is what I would receive. So she's saying that as far as they could receive it, may they receive that. Then I thought of all those towards whom we are going, towards Pondicherry, who are troubled by childish preoccupations and fight in ignorance and egoism for petty rivalries or of interest, and ardently, in a great aspiration, I asked for them the full light of peace. So I'm sure there must be a particular reference where mother is talking about this. Maybe Jishnuji may be aware of this, but I have no clue which particular people mother is talking about this. Maybe there is something here. Then Jishnuji, any idea about this?
This I specifically don't know, but two instances happened.
Yeah, please.
One was, if you recall, two Christian missionaries were going to China to convert the people, and mother had a conversation with them, and she found that naturally that what you will teach Chinese about religion or spiritualism when there is such an ancient notion. Another thing is she told the children, or told to Sujata that they were gambling at the ship, and once she said, I just played once, and I told them that if be careful, if I play, I will know all of your hands. I mean, all of you will lose. So probably she might be mentioning one of these or few of these instances.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you for sharing. So it's very amazing because from time to time we do get distracted. And Alokda also in many of his talks, he shares that somebody asked him that what is your thought about corona? What are your ideas about corona virus and all that? And he says, I don't want to share any ideas. I don't have any opinion about that. And why should I have any opinion? There are several ways in which you can live. Even without opinions, you can live. And um, is my task over? Have I found the divine presence within? Am I living it completely holy? So from time to time we keep on slipping from this aim that we have in this human life, and that it's good to get back again to the track and do what we are supposed to do, rather than to involve ourselves in these petty rivalries, or making ourselves more right than the others. And again, that's why satsang, or kind of reading good words, helps, because it gives us back the track that we lose again and again. So mother is wishing for them also who get troubled again and again, from preoccupations and fight in ignorance and egoism for petty rivalries of interest. And ardently in a great aspiration, I asked for them the full light of thy peace. So not even a little of spark, but all the light that can be had. Please, may it awaken each one of us. And then I thought of all those we know, all those who we don't know, and all the life in the making, all that has changed its form, and all that is not yet in form, and for all these, even as for all that I cannot think about. Amazing, as Shardaji was sharing, that just she covered everything possible in this prayer. For all that is present to my memory, and for all that I forget, in a deep contemplation and I mute adoration, I implored thy peace. So, wishing the bestest present possible, bestest gift possible for each aspect of manifestation and even the unmanifest, she says, beautiful inspiration for each one of us to include that in our daily prayers. And again, as we were discussing, that no matter whether it uh, affects outwardly or not, it definitely shifts my own consciousness and purify myself of ill will and any impurities that are from time to time arising in the being. That for sure can happen through these prayers. And this can be done anytime. We may be lying down waiting for sleep to come. So what to do, pray for our own self, the close ones, the not so close ones, the whole of existence, the planets that we can think of, things we can't think of. I think it's really, really very good practice that we can use. Great. So any last reflections, any last comments? All right. So thank you. I really feel blessed that we could connect today and reflect. Thank you, Sardaji. Thank you, Vishnuji.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you.
Monica, I
Anji.
just have a request.
Yeah.
Can you please share the Kabir, couplet of Kabir, which you
This one?
made?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a couplet. I'll share. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do share. Huh?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Because
Okay.
I remembered of a beautiful Tamil poem. So I can
Oh, beautiful.
yeah,
Beautiful.
I can compare. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.